When you start something brand new, what do you expect will happen? Welcome, I'm Joanne Smith. Today let's talk about the benefits, the challenges, and how to move through the hard parts without talking yourself out of the journey when learning something new. There is a real upside, especially for those of us in the third and fourth quarter of life. When I went to nursing school, the common belief was cognitive decline was inevitable. You've probably heard the phrase, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks." That idea has been thoroughly challenged. We now understand that the brain continues to learn and adapt throughout life with two important acknowledgments. When there is severe neurological damage, learning may be limited. Or when we choose not to learn. That's encouraging because most of us aren't trying to become geniuses. We're choosing to learn because we value growth and engagement, not because we've forgotten how to think. When we decide to learn something new, the brain forms new pathways. And here's the fascinating part. Learning complex, unfamiliar skills, especially more than one skill, can strengthen the brain function in ways that last for years. Yes, some cognitive abilities naturally change with age, but learning something challenging doesn't weaken the brain, it engages it. Now let's talk expectations. By this stage of life, many of us are competent, sometimes highly competent in multiple areas. That confidence can quietly set us up for frustration when we try something brand new. Will it be easy? Maybe. But if it's generally different from anything you've done before, probably not. That's not failure. That's a learning curve. And the steeper the curve, the more patience it requires. This YouTube channel is one of my examples. There are a lot of moving parts. Recording, lighting, editing, thumbnails, uploading. I chose to learn the process. My husband was willing to help, but he already has plenty on his plate. I wanted this learning curve to be mine. That decision came with realistic expectations. Progress would be slower, messier, and occasionally quite humbling. And that's okay. One of the sneakiest challenges when starting something new is comparison. We see someone who's skilled, fluid, competent, confident, and forget how long they've been practicing. We compare our beginner steps to someone else's polished stride. That gap isn't a verdict, it's just distance. I've met accomplished crocheters who decided to learn knitting, and vice versa. Many were surprised by how awkward it felt, not because one is harder than the other, but because they're different. New skills ask the brain to adapt. That adaptation is not a problem, it's part of the benefit. When you feel stuck, research, ask questions, reach out to someone who's been there. Sometimes you didn't fail, you just missed a step. The work is to keep moving forward, even when it's uncomfortable. One of the voices I respect comes from Forbes, where the idea of late bloomers has been explored without hype or shame. The takeaway is simple. For many people, growth and fulfillment don't arrive on the timeline we were sold. You might not remember her name, but you'll remember her voice. Where's the beef? Clara Peller became famous in her 80s. The thesaurus many of us used in school, that was created by a man in his 70s as a way to manage his own depression. And sometimes what becomes clear along the way is this isn't for me after all. That's not quitting, that's insight. Learning doesn't have to happen all at once, but it isn't a one and done either. We don't stop learning because we age. We stop when curiosity goes quiet. Curiosity never retires, and learning is one way we stay engaged with life. It might not be the fountain of youth, but it's close enough to matter. I'm Joanne Smith, your encourager. Be sure to grab the comparison page link in the video description, and I'll see you Friday for a small but important shift in perspective on starting something new.